What if the very thing you're doing to make it happen is exactly what's making it not happen? It's subtle. You plan, visualize, double-check your progress. You think you're being proactive, but under the surface, there's tension. A silent message of, "I don't fully trust this yet." And that message is powerful, because in the world of manifestation, energy doesn't lie, it mirrors. And when your actions are fueled by pressure, not presence, reality reflects the same. Delay, resistance, silence. This might sound harsh at first, but it's actually freeing, because once you see it, you can shift it. This video will walk you through something most people never talk about: how trying to control your manifestation is blocking the very outcome you crave, and more importantly, how to break that cycle and enter the state where things start to just happen. There's something sneaky about control. It looks like discipline, it sounds like responsibility. But when it comes to manifestation, control can quietly sabotage everything. Most people don't realize that their need to manage every step of how things will unfold isn't strength, it's fear wearing a mask. And fear is never fertile ground for manifestation. The more you cling, the more the thing slips through your fingers. Neville Goddard wasn't vague when he said to live in the end, but trying to control every detail pulls you out of that end. Instead of resting in the fulfilled state, you're watching the clock, measuring progress, wondering if it's working. That constant checking fractures your state. You're no longer embodying the result, you're negotiating with reality. And the universe doesn't respond to negotiations. It mirrors your inner state, not your hustle. Think of it like this. If you planted a seed and dug it up every hour to check if it's sprouting, would it grow? Control is that digging. It disrupts the process. What's really needed is trust, a kind of grounded surrender that feels like faith, not laziness. Control may feel productive, but it blocks manifestation's natural rhythm, and that's where the real paradox begins. Control is always reaching out. It wants to grab, fix, tweak, and oversee. Assumption, on the other hand, leans back. It's internal. It doesn't chase or check. It settles into a state of already done. That's the real difference. Control tries to force reality to comply, while assumption lives as if it already has. One is exhausting, the other magnetic. And that shift in posture changes everything. Most people say they believe, but then they immediately start planning, worrying, double-checking. That's not belief, that's micromanagement. When you're stuck in control mode, you're basically saying, "I don't fully trust this will happen unless I handle it." Assumption, however, is the opposite. It says, "Because it's already mine, I no longer need to handle it." It's not passivity, it's power in stillness. The trouble is, control feels safer. It gives a false sense of movement. But ask yourself, are you really moving forward or just moving in circles? Assumption frees you from that loop. It lets you rest in the end state without needing proof or permission. It's like walking through life with invisible certainty, and that certainty becomes magnetic. And here's the twist. There's a quiet message behind every act of control. I'm afraid it won't work out. You might not say it out loud, but that's what your energy is broadcasting. Every time you try to force a timeline, manipulate a response, or obsess over the how, you're sending out a signal of lack. You're telling reality, "I don't believe it's coming unless I interfere." That's not power, it's insecurity disguised as effort. Assumption doesn't need to hustle like that. When someone assumes the outcome, they don't hover over it. They don't question if it's real. Just like you don't doubt the chair will hold you when you sit, assumption feels that natural. But when control takes over, it means the inner state isn't solid. It's built on doubt, not embodiment. And the law of assumption responds to your state, not your actions. Control feels like action, but manifestation isn't about action first. It's about alignment. When your need to control is louder than your inner knowing, you step out of alignment with your desired reality. It's like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. But what if the moment you let go, things actually started flowing? Imagination needs space to breathe, but control is tight. It's rigid, linear, full of expectations and mental checklists. When you try to control the outcome, your imagination gets squeezed into a box of only if and what if. That's where most people get stuck. They're not imagining freely. They're rehearsing fear in disguise. And fear has a way of masquerading as logic. Neville taught that imagination is the creative force behind all reality, but when your mind is busy scripting every possible outcome, you crowd out that force. Instead of picturing the end scene, you're busy calculating timelines or anticipating obstacles. That's not creation, it's resistance. And resistance is what hardens into unwanted reality. Imagination flourishes in trust, not tension. Here's a little test. When you imagine your desire, does it feel like relief or work? If it feels heavy, forced, or analytical, you're not in the end, you're in the control room. Let that be your signal. Ease is a compass. The more you let go of controlling the path, the more vividly you can live the scene. And once you're living it on the inside, something interesting begins to happen. Neville always pointed us inward, not to the world of facts, but to the world of assumptions. The unseen realm is where creation begins, but when you're constantly micromanaging what you can see, checking results, forcing conversations, refreshing your bank app, you're choosing to trust the external over the internal. And that's where the current starts to short-circuit. It feels natural to monitor things. We're taught to stay on top of it, to manage outcomes. But manifestation isn't like running a business. It's more like breathing. You don't control each breath. You trust it will come. That same trust is required in the unseen. When you assume your desire is done, you no longer need the world to prove it. The feeling is enough, and that's when proof starts to show up. Micromanagement is like digging a well and then checking every 5 minutes to see if there's water. But real faith stays still. It believes the water is rising, even when the ground looks dry. That's the level of trust that changes things. And ironically, it's in that stillness that movement finally begins. Feeling is the secret, Neville said, but try feeling fulfilled while simultaneously micromanaging everything. It doesn't work. Control doesn't just create tension. It overrides the very emotion that fuels manifestation. The moment you start analyzing how it will happen, you step out of the state of the wish fulfilled and into a state of mental resistance. The feeling dissolves, and with it, the magnetism fades. Think about it. You can't feel peace and panic at the same time. You can't feel gratitude while you're measuring results. Control is a mental loop. Assumption is a heart state. One tightens, the other expands. The more you try to make it happen, the more you dampen the emotional frequency that would have made it real. It's like dimming the lights and then wondering why the room looks dull. To manifest, you need to feel the end, fully. But control interrupts that process with questions like, is it working? Or what if it fails? Those questions create static. They drown out the clarity of your desired scene. Feeling is the transmission. And if the signal's full of interference, it doesn't matter how often you visualize, it won't land. Here's where it gets actionable. Every time a planning thought creeps in, like, how will this happen? Or, should I do more? Pause. Don't follow the thought. Just notice it. Gently let it pass and return to your inner movie, the one where it's already done. This is how you release control in real time. Not by resisting those thoughts, but by redirecting your focus to the fulfilled version of you. Imagine your desire has just happened. Really feel it. What would you be doing, saying, wearing? What would your posture be like? That's the scene you need to enter. Not the scene where you're getting there, but the one where you've arrived. That's what Neville meant by living in the end. And here's the secret. The more often you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Start using your imagination like a rehearsal room, not a planning board. Don't ask how. Ask what if it's already done. That one shift can calm the urge to control. It reminds you that your only job is the inner state, the feeling. Everything else adjusts to match that. And soon, you'll start noticing something strange. Here's the wild part. When you stop trying to control everything, life starts collaborating with you. It's like the moment you exhale, something bigger inhales on your behalf. That's co-creation. You stop pushing, and reality begins pulling in alignment with your inner state. The less you grip, the more space you give for unexpected magic to enter. It's not passive, it's powerful presence. Control says, I'll make this happen. Assumption says, it's already unfolding. One shuts the door to assistance, the other opens it wide. When you loosen your grip, you begin to notice the nudges, the synchronicities, the doors that weren't even visible before. That's not coincidence, it's response. Reality is mirroring the new level of trust you've stepped into. Quiet trust is louder than any demand, and something else starts to shift. Your identity. You stop seeing yourself as the one who needs to make it work, and begin experiencing yourself as the one it's already working for. That's the sweet spot. You're no longer controlling, but you're still guiding, internally. And from that place, the signs become clearer. There's a quiet kind of power that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It's the power of someone who's fully embodied the end, who no longer asks if, because they already live from done. This isn't about pretending, it's about becoming. Embodied surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to the version of you who already has it, the version who doesn't beg, prove, or wait. You'll know you've stepped into this power when control feels unnecessary, maybe even silly. When trying to force outcomes feels like wearing shoes that don't fit anymore. You start to trust the scene you've rehearsed within more than the evidence around you. And that trust becomes magnetic. People feel it. Reality shapes around it, because energy that's no longer doubting decreates fast. So instead of hustling for the future, you begin to hold it. In your posture, in your tone, in how you breathe. You don't rush anymore. You don't explain yourself. You don't ask for signs. You are the sign. That's what true power looks like. And what happens next might change everything you thought you needed to control. So now the question becomes, are you really trusting or just trying to stay in charge? Because control feels safe, but it often delays the very thing you're praying for. What if the shift isn't about doing more, but about being more surrendered, more present, more anchored in the end? What would happen if you stopped checking, stopped micromanaging, and simply lived as if it were already done? Take a moment, revisit your desires, and this time, instead of strategizing, feel them, assume them, let them be done. Because true manifestation doesn't come from force, it comes from alignment. If this spoke to you, subscribe and turn on the bell. I've got more coming that will help you live this truth at every level.